Did you know that the corn we eat today would not be here without the atomic bomb? All that and more on this episode about corn. We wouldn't be eating any corn today if it hadn't undergone 4 or 5 key mutations over the span of several thousand years. Each mutation involved just a single gene, all combined to produce astonishing improvements. Think about it, shit blowing around for several thousand years changed corn. It just changed. The corn we eat today looks nothing like its wild ancestor. It's a bushy grass plant native to central Mexico. The corn was really little, a little number of kernels, covered in a hard shell, and it was really starchy. The corn of today differs from the original more than any other edible plant. That's crazy. About 5,000 years ago, farmers in south central Mexico were growing so much corn that it had become the staple crop. So when the English colonists finally got there and arrived on the shores, they saw the corn and were just amazed by it. They tried all of it. They did whatever they could to get the seeds and start producing the crops. They went to this Native American, and his name was Squanto, and they're like, Squanto, dude, you gotta help us. We don't know what we're doing. He told them when and how to plant the seeds. He told them to bury a dead fish at the bottom of each till of corn. So what did they do? They didn't do that. They did their own thing. It didn't work out. And then they went, fine. And then they did it the way he said. The problem in wanting to create a bigger, badder, sweeter, softer, juicier corn, we went too far. It contains 40% sugar. The old school blue corn grown by the Native Americans had 30 times more antioxidants than our modern white corn. That's unacceptable in my book. Most of the highly pigmented corn is now being processed for seasonal decorations. So whenever you see these dried corn and there are these beautiful colors, dark and that's actually the corn that we should be eating, not the corn that we're eating now. So in the 1930s, scientists were in this new field called plant genetics, and they began to experiment with manipulating corn genes. In the 1940s, the genetic researchers got a chance of a lifetime. They got a chance to mega mutate corn seeds by being allowed to sit with the rest of the fruit and animals tested with a freaking atom bomb. So all those goats and everything loaded up, tied up on this island, there were millions of corn seeds there. After many decades of selecting low nutrient, extra sweet corn, it's time we turned away from sugar and go into a healthier direction. When you're picking corn, and this is going to be difficult, you want to choose multi-colorful varieties of corn. These are high in phytonutrients. Organic corn was found to have 50% more phytonutrients than conventionally raised corn. So if you're gonna pick anything that's organic, corn is your first choice. Every corn plant has both a male and a female flower. The tassel, which is at the very top of the plant, produces the pollen. That's the male. The ear of the corn with the silk that comes out, that is the female flower. When the wind blows, pollen from the tassel will shake loose and fall on the silk. Each strand of silk is connected to a different seed on the ear of corn. So corn can be made into a plethora of different recipes. One of my favorite ways to eat corn is corn ice cream. We're gonna make vegan corn ice cream. It tastes great, it's healthy for you, and it doesn't have a lot of dairy that may kind of obstruct your digestion. So what I do is I get corn. This is tri-colored corn. It's not sweet corn. So what you do for your corn is you wanna strip them down. So we take our corn like this, clean it off, and we're going to take our knife and shave off the corn. So what I do for this recipe is I do probably 3 cups of corn because I really want a corn flavor. I don't want milk with a hint of corn. I want it to taste like corn. And once you shave it off, dump it into your cook pan, and you are going to cover this maybe 1.5 cups, and you're gonna simmer it here for about 20 minutes. This is a creamed coconut. What I like to do is I like to stick half of this into my corn while it's simmering. It adds like this creamy, just now you're really getting a flavor. You're developing a flavor that is gonna turn out unreal. This is optional, but I really do love to use this. And then what I do is I throw in vanilla sugar. Now this comes from Pinsy's. They have really, really good products. It's called vanilla sugar. I love it. I love the flavor of it. I dump the whole thing in here. And I have my almond extract and I have my vanilla extract. Now, since we're doing it vegan, there are processes in dairy that will take care of themselves, yet in vegan they won't. So you have to move along certain ingredients, this one being it. So what I do is I take these cans, I open them up and I stick them in the freezer with the lid off, but just the lid sitting on top. So what I'm doing is I'm freezing this. When I take this off of the heat, I cannot make the ice cream while this mixture is hot. So I need to cool it down. The best way I do it is I pour it into my Vitamix and then I stick my Vitamix into an ice bath. Once your mixture is cooled down, I take it from the Vitamix in the ice bath, I pull it out, shake it off, wipe it, I stick it right back in there. So now my mixture is cold. I puree that corn mixture. Right when I hit puree, I'm gonna take these out of the freezer and start scooping that frozen, thick coconut milk that has the texture and consistency of ice cream itself. You wanna take it and start putting it into your ice cream. And then I throw in my 1.5 tablespoons of tapioca starch and puree that sucker. I take it off and you'll put it into one of these, saran and foil, and wrap it, not all the way around, just put it around the top because you're gonna have to go back to it. I put it in the freezer and every 35 minutes, I take it out, you take a whisk and you start doing this, because what you're doing is, my ice cream maker isn't here. So when it's churning, that churn constantly puts air. And that's when it gives it that fluffy ice cream, airy. When this gets cold and I take a whisk and I come in there and whisk it, it's taking those ice crystals and breaking them up and spreading them out and creating air in it. So you do that by hand every 35 minutes, 3 times. So when I took it out of the freezer, it's not gonna be as soft. So I left mine out for 20 minutes to soften up. So this is a vegan corn ice cream. I don't think there's really any more left to say, but to just start eating. Oh yeah. I'm Elizabeth Grove, and this is Edible Effects. Did you like the corn ice cream? Did you even know that you could make corn into ice cream? Well, lend me your ear and tell me your thoughts.